Hello everybody, welcome back to the stream. We have a bonus Sunday stream for you. Just gonna do a bunch of work. And yeah, we'll see what we can do with this unlock tree. I think the unlock tree is just about ready to merge into the master branch, but we're gonna see if we can wrap that up. You know what? I'm kind of tempted to just merge it in and then do something else. I haven't made any new content in a while, so I'm kind of itching to do that. But you know, the unlock tree, the problem is I don't necessarily want to leave the unlock tree in like an unfinished state, because then that means I just need to come back to it later. But I do need to add more unlock conditions or unlock challenges anyway, so I don't know, maybe we'll just kind of like back burner it for a little bit and do something else. But anyway, before I get into it, I want to remind everyone that Alchemortis is available for wishlisting. This is the game I'm working on. This is the 7th stream of the week, or the first stream of the week, depending on whether your week starts on Sunday. And also, I've got the Patreon. You can support the game through the Patreon. I've been putting exclusive content on the Patreon. But also, if you subscribe at the sponsor tier for at least 1 month, you will get a Steam key for the full game when it releases, so you will not have to buy it on Steam, as well as getting your name in the credits of the game. So this is a way of thanking you for supporting the development. And you know, if Alchemortis is the next big indie hit, your name could be in the credits. You could be credited as being a part of having. Oh, excuse me. Okay. Oh, goodness. Anyway, I think you get the gist of it. Oh, wow. Ooh. Okay. And then you can also purchase my Udemy courses. The links for those are in the description below. I also just pushed an update to the Godot utilities. So for those of you that are using C# with Godot, you could check that out. I think probably the best feature of this new Godot utilities is the tween extensions, which I posted this in a Discord, but basically all of the easing and transition methods have now been simplified. So for example, if I want an ease type of back, or no, this is a transition type, I believe. Yeah, so if I want a transition type of back with an ease of out, I can just do .back, .out. And under the hood, all it's doing is, these are just like wrapper methods for setting the individual enum values. But it should cut down on the verbosity of your tweens quite a bit. There's also a bunch of new tween methods for the common properties, so you can just call tween control offset transform directly, or offset transform position ratio for controls. There's also tween action, which is basically just a way of providing a C# action that gets wrapped in a callback. There's also a tween custom, which is kind of the same thing. This is a variant of tween method, except you could just pass an action in, so you don't need to do all this callable variant, all that stuff, right? So actually, if I look at .tween custom, see if I can find a place where that... Is this still... okay, whatever. I think I messed up my workspace a little bit, but... So yeah, so this tween custom here, this is essentially, you can see here, I'm just passing in an action. This action gets called every time the tween processes to do your own sort of tween behavior. It's the same as tween method, like I said, you just don't need to wrap it with the callable out from. Anyway, all that stuff is available. All that stuff is available to you in Godot utilities. So anyway, let's go right into it. Oh no, my Sunday plans are ruined, but what if I just watch Firebelly's stream instead? Delightfully devilish. Welcome back, Wooius. Good to see you. I'm glad that you are procrastinating your plans. Hello, Emerson. Welcome back. Fishy, hello. Clickertail, welcome. Richard, welcome. I'll wishlist it now. Thank you. Appreciate that. Oh yeah, happy birthday, Clickertail. Happy birthday. Can we get some happy birthdays for Clickertail in the chat? Throw your party hat emojis and all that stuff in there. A 100 stream streak from Emerson. Dang. That's pretty cool. All right, so let's take a look at the current state of the unlocked tree. I haven't seen any party hats in the chat yet for Clickertail. That's kind of disappointing. Oh, there we go. There's one. There's one. So I added some animations to this screen. So you open up the unlock tree and it just animates outward. It also saves your unlock state. Now, one thing that is a little bit of a problem that I realized last night. Look at all those parties. Yes, there we go. One thing I realized last night, I was working on this, is it is theoretically possible, not theoretically possible, I mean it is entirely possible for a player to unlock new items during a run. And the problem is that if I want to preserve the integrity of like a seeded run, I obviously don't want any contact that was unlocked while a run was in progress to affect anything that's going to appear in that run. And that won't happen unless the player unlocks a bunch of things, and then saves their game, quits, closes the game, reopens the game, and loads back in, because that initialization process will insert into the loot tables all of the new things that have been unlocked, and that would be a problem. So that is something that I want to address. I'm trying to think if there's a good, clean way of addressing that. I think what I may do is when a run starts, I may just store an additional hash set of which unlocks were unlocked when the run was started. And then instead of looking at the global unlock state whenever I'm repopulating the loot tables and stuff, I would instead look at that snapshotted state and consider things as unlocked only if they're in that snapshotted state. So what that means is that whatever unlock state you started a run with is the unlock state that you will finish the run with, regardless if you go in and unlock things during the course of that run. So I think that's what I'm going to do. The other argument you could make is like, well, maybe it's not that big of a deal, right? Maybe it's not even something I should worry about. But again, I do want to somewhat preserve the integrity of the seeded runs. Like for players who have the same things unlocked and who have the same run seed, all of the encounters should be exactly the same. I mean, at some point too, you could just make an argument that maybe the seeded runs aren't that useful anymore because you're gonna have players with all kinds of different unlock states, but yeah. That is something that I want to address, though. Maybe not now, but maybe later. One second. Okay. I thought I heard someone at my door. Now I have a problem here, which is that I can't inspect these things. Maybe I should fix that first. I should be able to inspect things that have at least one connection or one unlocked end, and I can't do that. So I can only inspect the ones that I've unlocked, which is kind of not that useful. I also need icons for these things. So yeah, this screen is close to done. I think it just needs a lot of polish and quality of life changes. But let's fix that inspection bug first, and then what I'll do is I'll probably just merge this into the master branch, and then we can find something else to work on. So unlock tree item. No, that's not the right scene. Okay, inspect requested. Oh. I might need to do my own. I'm getting lost here. Oh, I'm in the wrong thing, that's why. If not is click valid, so let's do and not has some unlocked connections. I think that's it. We also need to put little inspect footer on the tooltip there. So I should be able to inspect that one. I shouldn't be able to inspect that one. Can't inspect that one, can't inspect that one, can inspect that one. Okay. So that seems to work. One other problem I have is that the escape key should dismiss those drawers. So if I press escape here, it should dismiss that inner drawer before it dismisses the whole unlock screen. And unfortunately, my escapable component is not built very well for that. I think I'm going to borrow the pattern that I have of my focus context boundary components. So an escapable component is just a plain node that listens for input, and whatever escapable component handles the escape event first will consume that event, and then will also emit an escaped signal. So this is a way that I can just inject the ability to detect the escape key in a very generic way to anything that I want to be able to dismiss. So what I would do is I would, for example, in the unlock tree container. No, actually it'd be challenge list. So in this challenge list, so that's that drawer that pops in. What I would do is I would add an escapable component here as a child. And then I can add a conditional. So I could say only listen for escapes if the drawer is currently open, right? And so if that conditional passes and the action was pressed, it will consume that input and then emit the escaped signal. But the problem is, right now it just works off of a priority value, which is very unwieldy, very hard to reason about. So I think what I'd want to do for this is follow the same model that I did for the focus context boundary in my for my controller system, which is basically to find the escapable component that's at the deepest level of the tree and have that one be the first one that intercepts the event. And actually, that should already work by default with this input. So I don't really know why I need the priority. I think this is already working that way. The deepest, well, it's not technically the deepest, I don't think, because it goes in reverse depth first order, the input propagation, I believe. So what would happen is, for example, that input event would go to this one first, and then this one, 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 right? So do you see how it starts at the lowest level, the lowest, deepest level of the tree, and then it goes to the next lowest, deepest level, So it's kind of just like, imagine if you had the tree expanded like this, it would literally just go up in order like this, passing the events through until it reaches the escapable component. And that would work in the full tree as well. So I could have an escapable component down here, and if Godot propagates input through the tree, it will hit this one first, and then it will hit this one. And so that will have a chance to intercept that escape action prior to this one having a chance. So I don't really know why I have the priority component. That's actually kind of a code smell. That's probably not great. I mean, that has the same problems as like Z index, which is that it's got a certain order in the tree, and its position in the tree determines when it gets the input event. But then I'm also taking into account my own custom priority component, which is just adding confusion to the system. So the better thing to do here would be to just rely on the tree order, just rely on its position in the tree to determine the escapable component priority order. But there's probably a reason why I added this priority, and it's probably going to break when I remove that. Anyway, that was a whole tangent that basically is me just saying there's the problem, and I have a way to fix it. Why is this showing? I don't want to. Okay, I'm just going to do something here. Close this. Open file, MISC. Or no, I want to open folder. I was doing some Godot utilities work, and so I like put both repositories in the same workspace, and then it messed a bunch of stuff up. Anyway. Hello, Alien, welcome back. Do you never rest? Hello, Infinity01. I guess not. I was up pretty late last night, although I was not up late last night only working on Alchemortis. I stopped working on Alchemortis at like 1 a.m., and then I played Diablo 2 Resurrected for an hour before I went to bed. Anyway. Okay, so we're not quite done with the unlock tree, but let's just go ahead and merge this into master so I can start doing other things. So I'm just going to merge this. 40 new commits. We'll close Godot so it doesn't freak out when I do this. Okay. Delete this branch. Git fetch prune. Alrighty. Cool. Alright, what kind of fun things can we get into? So there's a minor change here I want to make to Alcahest. So I'm thinking Alcahest, maybe Alcahest is like, I don't think it's that useful to remove all abilities from an item. So what I may make Alcahest do is just remove the corrupted abilities. Let's do that. Let's do content. Alcahest should remove corrupted abilities. Sleep is for the weak. I missed the escapable component. Purpose, does it listen if escape is pressed and closes related UI context? Yeah, so the escapable component is basically just a way. So like let's say you want to have the escape key close some kind of dynamic UI, right? It's a dialog window, or maybe it's a drawer, whatever else, right? You have a couple options, right? You can just listen for the escape key in every scene where you need to listen for it. But then you end up with a situation where you inevitably have some kind of logic that you want to run to determine if you want to accept the escape key. For example, if the drawer is already collapsed, escape shouldn't do anything, right? It should just pass over it. And so for each of these dynamic UIs, if I implemented the input handling, I'd have to override the input method, listen for the escape key, then do some additional logical checks to see if I should consume that, whatever else. So my escapable component is basically just a node that handles all that for me, right? It listens for it. I can add validators, like validator functions, to a validators list through the escapable component API. And that will just be like a list of functions that all have to return true in order for the escape to be accepted. And then it just emits a signal saying, hey, escape was accepted. And then I can do things in response to that signal. So I think it's just a streamlined way of doing that, because then all of the conditional logic is isolated. All the input handling and conditional logic is isolated to the escapable component. And then in whatever scene I need to be able to listen for escape, I just add the escapable component, and then all I need to do is just listen for the escaped signal, right? And optionally add any additional checks or validators that need to be done. But the nice thing about that is that I know when the escape signal comes through that I should respond to that. Like, I don't need to do anything extra. I know that when I receive escape, all of the checks have already been done, and my only responsibility at that point is to handle collapsing the thing or hiding the UI element when that escaped signal is emitted. So it's just a little bit cleaner. It's a little bit, it's just a nice way of genericizing common behavior. Okay, let's take a look at Alcast. I haven't been doing anything with any of my items recently. So we're probably going to rename this. Let's do Alchemy Remove Corrupted Abilities. And then Alchemy Remove Corrupted Abilities. Oops. Removes all description keywords corrupted okay. Alchemy remove corrupted abilities. And then we need to do add additional ability explanation. Ability explanations dot corrupted. Okay. So cards to clear abilities, that is not correct. So I need to change this, because this is just saying for every card in this hash set, remove all abilities. What I probably want to do is I probably want to do something like public delegate void clear ability filter, and this would be a base composed ability. This needs to return true. No, this needs to return bool, which would be true for each one. So this would become probably a dictionary of base card to list of clear ability filter. Card to clear abilities. I'll probably just do something like public void register clear ability. Base card clear ability filter. In here would probably, the filter should probably be an or rather than an and. but that's fine. So card to clear abilities, try get value card, out var filter list. We will say filter list nullable equals empty list, filter list dot add filter, and then cards to clear abilities, card is equal to filter list. Okay. So in here, we are going to do effects dot register clear ability target card, and then we'll just go ahead and just slap an anonymous function in here. Ability dot is corrupted ability. Okay. Query target provider create for non-reagent. Targeted card in query target provider get cache targets. Additional filter or options. Custom filter is equal to card has corrupted ability. Okay. So now my alchemy input config. Why did this not change? Oh, did this rename not work? Corrupted abilities. Or maybe I just never did it. Alchemy input config. What do we got going in here? Okay, so we want to do new composed abilities dot where clear ability filter list is equal to reagent effects cards to clear abilities dot try get value card out var. Let's do this. I always forget that I don't want to do an assignment here. Okay. So in this case, I want to preserve all of the abilities where none of them match the filter, right? So where clear ability filter list dot all filter not filter X, right? Is that right? So in this case, I have the filter is ability is corrupted ability. So in here, what we're going to do is we're going to say for all of those filter functions, all of them should return false in order to preserve the ability. I think that's correct. Okay, I guess let's just take a look. I have to put my debug things back in place here. Let's just do ignore unlocks. I actually don't know how this is going to work with the new unlock tree. Test player cards, alka hest. I should make a reagent that guarantees that all of the abilities will be corrupted. You're welcome, Artem. So, sure, you said you weren't streaming today. I did say that, yes. But I had some unexpected free time. Hello, Junie. Sunday stream in this economy? Seriously. Okay. I forgot to build the translations. Forgot to build the translations again. Remove all corrupted abilities from top adjacent non-reagent items. Cool. So let's get some corruption going first. Oh man, it feels so good to be back working on items. Okay, apply 3 poison to self. So now if I do this, this should hopefully work. Hey, look at that. Let's see if I can get 2 corrupted abilities on the skeleton. Uh-oh. Handle is not initialized. Okay, 2 corrupted abilities. Excellent. All right, one more test. We'll try when it has 1 corrupted ability and 1 normal ability. Okay. So here's that. Alcahest. Oh. Oh. So what's happening there is the ceremonial dagger got an additional corrupted ability. And the Alcahest applies the clear abilities after, like, well, is that true? Yeah, okay, so this is a little bit weird. So what happens is, so that ceremonial dagger, it got another corrupted ability, and then the corrupted abilities got cleared here, but then it still thought it got a new corruption, so it played the corruption animation. Clear ability filters. I wonder, should this happen? This should happen probably prior to any new abilities being added. Yeah, I wonder if I should move this. This clear ability should happen prior to anything new happening to it, I think. So we're going to do this. So we've got our new composed abilities. We'll do the filter first, then we'll do these legendary filter and a remove abilities from card after that. And actually, there's a little bit of redundancy here because this is abilities to remove from card. This could probably be merged somewhat into this. Abilities to remove from card. Yeah, I almost wonder, should I get rid of this? Alchemy absorb ability. Oh, I think there's a bug in here too. Oh, no. No, never mind. I wonder if I should just do... I could probably just merge those two things. They're kind of the same thing. Yeah, actually, I wonder... Yeah, I actually probably should do that. Abilities to remove from card. So this should actually use the abilities to remove from card. Yeah. So probably want to do that, and then I can remove the cards to clear abilities here. Get rid of this. And then we don't need to worry about this either, because that will automatically be picked up here. Okay, let's try that instead. Hello, Mark. Welcome back. Good to see you. How you doing? Okay, let's see if we can get a corrupted ability somewhere. Oh, we got the opposite of a corrupted ability. That's good. You're no longer useful to me. Okay. Let's see what happens here. So this still has a chance to gain a corrupted ability. So yeah, that corrupted ability got replaced. So yeah, the Alcahest doesn't make you immune to getting more corrupted abilities, but it will remove the ones that you have. Yeah. See if I can do this. Alcahest here. Let's just put a bunch of stuff in to remove the or lower the chances as much as possible. Actually, add item corrupted rows. Let's just put a rose in there. Left adjacent and right adjacent allied items cannot receive corrupted abilities. So hopefully this will remove... Yeah, it removed the corrupted ability from the Lich, or from the Leech, I mean. Hello, Snupbill. Thank you for the IDR 10,000. Very much appreciate that. Thank you, thank you. With the message yummers. Thank you, Snupbill. That's always very, very generous. Yeah, I feel better about that approach. That makes more sense to me. Okay, so make Alcahest remove corrupted abilities. Okay, that makes more sense to me. Done. All right, what else we got? We have a number of bugs. I think this one is done. I made some changes to how fire works. So I think that should be good. All right, let's take a look at the Discord and see what suggestions are in there. What does yummers mean in this context? It's just something that Snupbuild does. I don't know. That's just how it goes. All right, let's look at Alchemortis suggestions and see what is here. Let me think. There's a bunch of good suggestions. Interesting. There's one from Jack in the Discord. Ghoulish Fencer. Base cooldown around 1.5 seconds. Base crit chance around 100%. Innate increase cooldown by 0.2 seconds. Interesting. Let me think about this. That is an interesting idea. Yeah. Let's do that one. So we're going to do a new card. Card creation tool. I haven't done a new card in a while. Let's see what happens. I like this. Fencing ghoul, or let's do ghoul fencer. What kind of suggestions do you need? Content? Yeah, I'm just going through the Alchemortis suggestions channel in the Discord. So this is going to be a ghoul, which is a fencer. So he's going to have like a rapier or whatever they're called. Is that what they're called for fencing? And I think the idea, at least as I understand it, but this is what I'm going to do anyway, even if I misunderstood the idea, is that he's going to have a very high attack rate early on in combat, and then as he executes, his turn cooldown is going to keep going up. So he's going to do a bunch of quick stabs at the beginning, and then every time he executes, his turn cooldown is going to get... I keep saying turn cooldown. His cooldown is going to get longer and longer. Now, the one tricky thing here is I actually don't know if I can do that. I don't know if I can change the turn cooldown dynamically during combat. I don't believe that that's something that I'm ever doing. And so that is going to have to... Yeah, we're going to have to see how that goes. Anyway, let's start with the art, though. So the idea is we're going to have a little ghoul here. And I'm going to need to figure out... I already messed it up. I'm going to need to figure out how to make the... how to make this guy look, but that's okay. This may be a problem. Maybe I should start with like the sword. And we got to figure out how to like contort his arms. To fit in here. Oh, that's actually kind of good. Yeah. And maybe we'll put his other arm like up here somewhere. Yeah, we'll have to figure out what to do about this hand. This is just going to be a very rough sketch for a second. And then, of course, I need to figure out how to do the ghoul mouth. He looks kind of cute already. Now I gotta figure out what to do about his feet. This is going to be very, very rough for a second until we figure out what's going on. So far, so good, though, maybe? Gotta figure out what to do about this bit here. And also, what do I do about his freaking legs down here? Actually, that doesn't look terrible. I don't think this pose looks terrible. I just need to do a little bit of work on it, but just need to do a little bit of work on it. I wonder if this leg should be also a little bit angled. If I can do that. No. It actually almost needs to be the other way, maybe. The problem is I don't have a whole lot of room here, so I think it's just going to look a little awkward no matter what I do. Actually, that doesn't look terrible. I just need to get the pixels to do what I want them to do, and that's all I need. Okay, wait a minute. He's so cute. Oh my goodness. Why do I keep drawing things so cute? It's unbelievable. What is this, fishing man? You should just run your AI agent thing to look at the suggestion over the last few weeks and put them in your comment board like you did last time. Yeah, I'm gonna do that for sure. That was so useful. Like, I was just blown away. I installed Claude browser extension, went to the web version of Discord, and I told it, hey, catalog all of the feedback from the suggestions channel, and it did that. But that was pretty cool. Anyway, hello, Real Crudo, welcome. Light Tiramisu, welcome. Work on the game is coming along. Oh, that's for Real Cruda, yeah. Wonder of magic numbers. So I think the problem here I need to figure out what to do with the face and everything. I think that looks better. That's just, what a ridiculous card. I mean, I think the shape is almost there. There's a couple of weird parts. I wonder if I just need to like shave off his head a little bit. No. I think it works like this. I don't really know what colors to use. I think that works. That is probably okay. There's too much. Well, actually, that is probably okay. Trying to avoid pillow shading, you know? But I think that looks pretty good. I think that looks decent enough for the face. Now, as far as these things go, obviously I'm going to want this to be some kind of shiny. So let's see if I can do that. Maybe we'll do something like this. Try to make this look a little bit rounded. Yeah. And then here. So there's a lot of green going on here, but I'm going to probably dress him in like some kind of standard, like some kind of garb here. You know what I mean? And then here we do something like this. The pants, I don't know, something like that, right? I mean, the colors make a huge difference, right? I could actually make this look like some kind of breastplate or something, right? So I do this. Yeah, so that looks like a little breastplate now. And we can actually just put a little darker pixel there. And then for this side, we probably want something like this. And then for the gloves, yeah, something like that. I might put a couple of darker pixels there. Let's see. This one can probably just be a darker pixel. Yeah, that's probably okay. I don't know. I have to think about that a little bit more. Oh, maybe that's better. Yeah, that works better. It's getting there. It's getting there. Trying to debate how much I want to fill this part in. Probably not a lot. Actually, I may just delete. Well, this part is a little bit weird. Actually, that looks pretty good. We'll just roll with that, I suppose. And I could even add just like a little highlight one there. Isn't he cute? I've done a lot of coding and just... oh, I already read that one. Could that be? Yes, Jack, it's your idea. Yes. I've been watching the last few streams. Love the unlock tree. Looks amazing. Thank you. Hello, I'm effin' Michael. What's this program? It's Ace Bright. Hello, Hundikukin. Welcome back. Read the chat. Welcome back, Odoswi. Okay. Sorry, had to respond to some messages. Okay. I don't know about this one. Oh, I suppose that looks a little bit better. Hands are always awkward because there's never enough room to do the amount of fingers that you want to do. Yeah, I can't make the fingers work. We'll just make, I don't know. Ugh. Whatever, we'll just make something like that work. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Do I want to put some brighter spots on some places? There we go. How do we feel about that? The rare Sunday stream. Maybe remove this left arm. No, I'm not going to remove it, no. It's going to look weird if there's no left arm. I guess it could work, but I kind of like it with it out here more. Now I may actually make it longer. I think it's a little bit. Actually, this version looks a little bit better, I think. Yeah, that looks better. It looks a little bit more like he's got some fluffy clothing on. Yeah, there we go. Goodness gracious. This is just such a... It really is just a stupid character. But I love it. I love it. We'll roll with it. I'm on the fence with this one. Nice one. He does make a good point. Just make sure the ghoul never gets a touch on me. Who knows how many fingers the skeleton has left, right? Okay, that one turned out pretty good, actually. I'm not too disappointed by that one. It's just... It's just so goofy. Yeah, it's just funny. He's just a goofy little guy. Okay, but the real challenge is going to be the functionality. I'm just going to say add ghoul fencer art. I'm out of fencing puns. Good to see you though, Asymmetrics. All right, I'm going to take a quick 3-minute break, and when I come back, we'll work on this dude's functionality. So I'll be right back in just 3 minutes and we'll continue on. All right. Honestly, you know what I think? I think this guy should become a new Discord emoji. We got Snail Cat and Fencing Ghoul. What do you guys think? Is this guy worthy of his own little emoji? I don't know how it would look at small sizes, but it would be kind of funny. It would be kind of funny, actually. Oh man. I don't know why it's just so funny. I don't know why it's I don't know why it's so funny, honestly. Okay. Enough goofing around. We're doing serious things here. What do you, people act like we're making video games or something here? We got serious things to do. All right, so this guy, this is going to be the hard part, is I want to change the turn cooldown or the cooldown of the item while it's running. Is there a way for me to do that? If there's not a way for me to do that, there's another clever way for me to do this, which is to apply self-paralysis, which increases in duration every time. So if I can't actually change the cooldown during normal runtime, I could either add the support for that, which may be useful, or I can accomplish the same thing with like a self-paralysis. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Let's just try this to start. Let's do const int turn, or let's just do cooldown penalty per execution is equal to let's just make it something really obvious, like 1 second. And then we will do var execution tracker is equal to new execution count ability execution count provider. How do I actually, can I just do execution? How do I actually track the ability executions? Uh-oh. Oh, it's just a generic execution count provider, right? Okay. New generic execution count provider. That's all I wanted, yeah. Execution count, okay. Var turn cooldown modifier is equal to new self turn cooldown modification. This is going to do a plus equals every time. Let me think about this. Turn cooldown modifier. Turn cooldown override. This turn cooldown modifier. Yeah, let's do. I may need another property in here. I'm really struggling. I don't know if I should be modifying this during normal execution. Trying to think of the pros and cons of doing this way. So the problem is I assume that all the turn cooldown modifications happen in the passive sort of calculations. So the turn cooldowns don't actually change during combat. If I ever need to speed something up, like if I need to reduce its remaining cooldown or whatever, that affects the remaining cooldown. It doesn't actually affect the base cooldown value. And so the problem that I'm running into is like, I don't want to modify this one because this is the passive one. So what I'd want to do instead is probably provide some kind of new property to add on to it, and then reset that to 0. But the thing is, how is that going to work with, like, let's say that I have the ability to set the turn cooldown of other things. Like I get the Reach of the Apostate ability on this guy. As his turn cooldown is ticking up, the way that it would work currently is that that new cooldown would not propagate to anything else, because that happens during the passive cooldown update phase. So I'm trying to think, like, do I want to find a way to support cooldown modification during combat that just goes beyond like accelerating the turn or anything? Or do I want to just go with what I know will work, which is apply self-paralysis that increases in duration every time? The interesting thing about that approach is that you could put paralysis immunity onto this guy, and then that negative just goes away completely. Got to take the bad with the good, yes indeed. Hello, Lukey. Man, what do I do here? The other thing too, though, is that being able to change the turn cooldown during combat would actually be very useful. It's just not going to work. It's not going to work as a player might expect it to if the cooldown changes during combat, but then there is like a passive ability that's supposed to set the cooldown equal to this item's cooldown, right? So that's the thing that I'm kind of struggling with, is that I've kind of designed the turn cooldowns, the cooldowns to be modified only in the passive update phase. And I don't know if I'm going to be able to make it work if I start changing it during execution. The other option I could do is I could increase the cooldown, but after the combat is over. So what I could do instead is I could say, well, keep track of the number of times this item executed, and then for each time it executed, increase the cooldown by 0.1 seconds, right? So he almost becomes like tired, and then that can reset as well, right? Or it will just keep like bouncing back and forth. So like he'll have his base cooldown, he'll execute a bunch of times. Then on the next combat, he's going to have like an increased cooldown of like 3 seconds. So he's going to execute fewer times. But then on the next combat, he's going to execute more because he executed fewer times. That may actually be an interesting... That might be an interesting way to approach it. So I keep the cooldown update in sort of the non-combat, the passive update phase. But the passive update phase would be influenced by the most recent combat. Maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll do that. I have an idea. So every time he executes, increase his turn cooldown by like 0.1 second, 0.1 seconds. The problem is that eventually he's not going to become very attractive to use because he's going to have a really high cooldown. So we can make it so that, you know, we could give it something interesting like alchemy will reset it. Yeah, I don't know. There's kind of there's a couple of ways to work around this. Let me just see if that's going to work. So we got the execution count. Non-combat composed ability configuration, bar self turn cooldown modification is equal to new. I can't provide a value in here. Yeah. ctx.basecard.turn cooldown modifier plus equals current cooldown penalty. Generic execution count provider. Let's do var. Do I need the current cooldown penalty? New value scalar, source provider. Let's just do new generic value provider int. We will do. Does this reset? Is permanent tracker. I'm gonna have to mark this as is permanent tracker. Man, I gotta figure out how to make this work. We're going to capture that current cooldown penalty, execution count.get value times cooldown penalty per execution. Okay, so we've got the combat end listener. We put the self turn cooldown modification in here. Then we want to do some abilities here. I don't know. Well, this is just going to be, yeah, so this will just be its own little thing. So I'm going to put execution count here. Ability factory. Actually, I just realized there's another subtle bug in this system, but I don't know if it's that big of a deal. Let's not think about that yet. Anyway, we'll put combat end listener there. Okay. Don't care about this. Don't care about that. And don't care about this. Okay. We'll call this increase cooldown per execution. Description template. Man, I don't even know what to do about this. Guard Ghoul Fencer. Whatever, doesn't matter. I just want to see if this works. Then we could figure out how to word it. Hello, Neozoid, welcome back. Good to see you. Okay, let's just set this. So this is a 2x2 with excluded cells of 1, 1. Turn cooldown, 15. Tags minion. Undead. Critical chance, 0.75. Okay. Whatever. Let's build. We'll see what this does. This is going to be a really hard one, actually. Oh, I need to enable training dummy. This one is going to be very difficult, I think. So we've got 1.5 seconds. Let's just see how many times he goes. That did not work. It's probably not capturing this combat end listener. Combat victories. Where is this used? Let's put a breakpoint here. We'll see what this does. Let me guess, this is probably 0, right? It is. So that's just being reset then. Okay, that's probably fine. Why is that being reset first? That's kind of annoying. I need a way of capturing this value. Oh boy. Well, what I could probably do, let's set this to is permanent tracker, and then let's do var generic reset state equals new generic transient state reset state func. What I'll do in here is I will capture. This is probably not a great idea to do this in here. But that's okay. Is permanent tracker, because what I'll do is I'll capture the cooldown penalty in here, and then I'll say execution count dot reset state in here. So basically I'll avoid the auto reset state in there, and then I'll just do it here instead. Then I can do generic reset state there. So I'm capturing that before I'm resetting the execution. All right, so that's fine. Let's see if that much works. Man. This guy's going to have like 1,000. 67 seconds. Okay, so the other problem too is that the non-combat state is not being updated post-combat. So I probably need to do that as well. But that is working. And what I should see is when I go into the next combat, his cooldown should go down. Oh, it went up. How did it go up? How did that go up? Oh gosh. It's going up by 1 second every time. All right, let's attach. Man, this is a tough one. This is a tough ability to get to work. But we will figure it out. I may just end up doing the self-paralysis thing. Okay, 680, execution count, get value. Is this not being properly reset, maybe? Oops. Oh, the reset state doesn't do anything. Because there is permanent tracker. Ah, there's got to be a better way to do this. Okay, there is a better way to do this. We're not gonna worry about this. Execution count is equal to new generic ability. Current execution count plus plus. And then in here, we're going to do current execution count. And then this current execution count is equal to 0. Okay, that should work. I'm not even going to worry about messing around with that. I just need a simple counter. Oh, no, that should still work. Okay. So we should see basically the same result. 67.5, but this should go down quite a lot when I do this. Yeah, it's back down. So he only executed like once that time. So obviously, I may want some kind of cap on this. But the next major piece to figure out is if I can trigger... If I can trigger a board state update, Q update board state contingent abilities, on combat victory, on combat ended, we're going to do a Q update board state contingent abilities for all boards, I guess. So hopefully that will queue an update now on combat end, which should automatically update this guy. Yeah, 67.5 seconds. Cool. Alrighty, so that works pretty good. And then he should change again, 2.5. Okay. So those pieces are in place now. So let's make this just one, maybe two. We don't care about any of this, so that's fine. So this would be increase cooldown by description utils.time format 0 seconds. Do I want this to be passive as well? No, I can't make it passive. Actually, you know what I can do? This might be a little bit weird. I can actually do... this here, we'll put this in here, this description template. Increase cooldown by seconds. Time this ability executed in the last combat encounter. Okay, we're going to get rid of the description translation key here. Description template. Do I need a translation key for this? Actually, I might need to do that. Let's just do, yeah. Outer, we'll just call it outer. This is going to be very simple. It's just going to be literally just that. But because in here, what I need to do is inner ability description wrapper from self turn cooldown. And then we're going to set this to is innate equals true. The reason I needed to move the description here is because this is a passive ability. So I want this to be marked as passive. However, because there are active components here, this ability will not be shown as passive. So if I just put the inner ability description into there, I think that should work. Oh, and then here I need description template parameters func. Cooldown penalty per execution. Description utils dot magnitude 2 seconds. Okay. Goodness gracious. Well, that's a little bit of a weird thing, but hey, when you get to have systems that you've built, sometimes it's good to work within the constraints. Actually, I don't know if that's the right way to formulate it. Maybe it would be better to do this. For each time this ability executed in the last combat encounter, 0, and then here, increase cooldown by that. I think that should probably be better. So it's a little bit weird, but that's just, I mean, that's just how I have to get the passive tag to work. Anyway. Oh, the problem. Oh, I need to make this store in the save file too. Son of a biscuit. Son of a biscuit. Okay, let's make that work before I forget, because that would be bad to forget that. This ability, though, is done. So now I just need to add the rest of the damage abilities that this thing should have. But I do need to do persistent state, new persistent state. I don't know, man. Private record, no. Public record state. We'll do public int current cooldown penalty. Get init, and we'll make this required. Okay, state get is equal to return new state. Current cooldown penalty equals current cooldown penalty. Set is equal to state. Okay, and then here, persistent state is equal to persistent state. Okay. Let's move this down. So that should automatically save that to the save file then. And actually, let me do this. I probably actually don't want to save the actual penalty. I probably want to save the captured execution count. Because if I ever go and change the penalty, the real thing that matters is how many times it executed. I don't really necessarily want to store whatever the output of the multiplication is. So I just want to store the captured execution count instead. And then in here, we're going to say captured execution count is equal to current execution count We'll multiply this by captured execution count. And then we are storing that there. Okay. So now what I can do is I can change this number, and that will be automatically reflected for any save files that are out in the wild. Because this is the thing that's not going to change, right? I'm not going to... Like, this is just a raw number that's used to calculate the cooldown penalty. Okay, cooldown penalty per execution. Wee wee. Okay. We'll give him some damage and some bleed as well. What else? Was there something else that you suggested, Jack, if you're still here? Let me look at it again. Critical chance is also reduced. I mean, we'll have to see how that goes. I think there are a bunch of ways to counteract this. Like, for example, you could counteract it with some other turn cooldown modifications. But let's just see... Let's just see how that works. So now it's a 14.5 second cooldown. So it's like he has to go around where he's exhausted. But then he goes back down to a normal one. Now, here's the question. What happens if I put this guy here? Will that reset? Oh, he does reset. Okay. That makes sense. So I guess that's fine. Like, as a player, you have the option of, like, swapping this guy in if you want and putting him in the backlog while you do the next combat and then bringing him back over. I don't really want to encourage that kind of gameplay. But it's okay if that's an optimal strategy for, like, a handful of items. But yeah, what I really don't want in Alchemortis is I don't want... One of the reasons why the stash is so small is because I don't want you to have, like, a second build in the roster that you swap out in and out for certain types of fights. Like, I don't think that's going to be... Like, if that becomes the optimal strategy, there's going to be something wrong. Like, the game is not going to flow nearly as well. So what I want to emphasize is, like, perfecting the build that you have rather than, you know, swapping things in and out. However, if that ends up being the optimal strategy for, like, the Ghoul Fencer, that's fine, because it's just one item, and if you want to play that way, you can, or you can find other ways to work around the cooldown penalty, right? And I think the language is clear enough. Okay, I was worried that this was not going to end up working, but I think we found a way around it, so... Look at how cute he is! Oh my gosh. Honestly, this is one of my favorite items that I've drawn for the game. The little Ghoul Fencer. He's so cute. It's unbelievable. How could one little tiny set of pixels bring so much joy? It's a mystery. Anyway, add Ghoul Fencer abilities. I should probably check that the save system works as well for that guy, just as some due diligence here. So let me turn off ignore save file, and then we're also going to do clear save data. Okay. So let's just throw a bunch of things on the board. Try to get to a combat encounter as close as possible. Or as quickly as possible. Okay. So this guy has 2.7 second cooldown now. So I may need to increase that cooldown penalty, but let's just make sure that that works. So that's 2.7. Let me go to my Alchemortis. I can't open that. We'll go here. Ghoul, Fencer. Captured execution count is 6. So that means that 1.2 seconds, so it's 2.7, right? Yeah, 2.7. So we're going to quit to menu. We're going to continue the run. Let's see if that gets restored correctly. It did not get restored correctly. Why did that not get stored correctly? Oh, I have to recalculate the cooldown penalty, right? We're just streamlining this really quick. Man, this game is getting pretty complex. Hello, Christoph. Welcome. Christopher. Okay, let's see. This should calculate it correctly now, if I'm not mistaken. 2.7 seconds. Look at that. Okay, so that is saved now, which is good. Cool. All right. That is good to go. I think we'll call that Ghoul Fencer done. I do need to make sure to add flavor text and all that stuff. In progress, Ghoul Fencer. I need, I'm going to change the name and also flavor text. But yeah, we can call that one done. We might as well do, where's that milestone at? To do milestone. Here we go. Let's put this one in progress. Okay. Hello, Kent. Welcome. Good to see you. Have you ever tried Vim? It makes me way faster at coding. No, I doubt Vim would make me faster at coding, personally. I like my GUIs. Okay. Fix save data not restoring. Excellent. All right. Well, it is lunchtime for me, but I hope you all enjoyed this bonus Sunday stream. If you are interested, you can wishlist the game Alchemortis on Steam. I would appreciate that. Helps me out a lot. And yeah, I hope you all have a great rest of your Sunday. I will be back at it tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern, so I hope to see you there for everyone's favorite day of the week, Monday. But yeah, what else? I think that's it. Join the Discord. All the ways you could support me, all the community links, those are all linked below, whether you're on Twitch or YouTube. So yeah, anyway, have a good weekend, have a good rest of your day, and I will see you tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern. All right, bye-bye.